The first way to make a girl chase you isn't about looks, money, or status. It's about energy. A woman becomes addicted to a man she can't read. The moment she thinks she has you figured out, she stops chasing. But when you stay unpredictable, she keeps trying to decode you. Every woman is drawn to mystery. She'll never admit it, but what excites her isn't knowing what comes next. It's not knowing. That tension, that uncertainty, that curiosity, it drives her wild. When you respond too quickly, when you explain too much, when you make yourself easy to access, you destroy that mystery. You turn yourself into an open book. And open books get read once and left on the shelf. But when you move at your own pace, when you disappear for a bit, when you stay calm and unreadable, that's when her mind starts chasing you. Not because she wants you, but because she wants the certainty you took away. She'll start overanalyzing your silence. She'll wonder why you didn't reply right away or what's going through your head. That's when she starts thinking about you even when she doesn't want to. You've now shifted the emotional dynamic. You're no longer the one waiting. She is. And every second she spends wondering about you builds emotional investment. Women don't chase men who are always available. They chase men who give them something to figure out. Because curiosity is the seed of attraction. And once planted, it grows into obsession. Your unpredictability shouldn't come from games. It should come from self-control. You're not ignoring her to get attention. You're living a life that demands your attention elsewhere. That difference is everything. When she sees that your focus isn't on her, it challenges her ego. She's used to being the center of attention. But now she's dealing with a man who doesn't orbit her, and that drives her crazy. She'll start subtly competing for your attention. A little longer eye contact, a slightly flirtier tone, a sudden text just to check what you're doing. That's not coincidence. That's her ego working overtime. And you? You remain calm, detached. You reply when it fits your rhythm, not hers. You never rush to reassure her. You let the silence do the talking. Because in that silence, her mind fills in the blanks with fantasy. That fantasy is your power. She starts creating an image of you in her mind, one that's more intriguing, more mysterious, more powerful than reality. You didn't sell her a dream. Her emotions built it for you. When you master this level of calm unpredictability, she starts chasing not just your attention, but your emotional energy. She wants to feel something again, and only you seem to trigger it. She'll start texting first. She'll start wondering what you think of her. She might even mirror your detached energy just to see if it affects you. But deep down, she's the one losing control. That's the paradox. And when you pull back, she moves forward. When you slow down, she speeds up. When you stop trying to impress her, she starts trying to impress you. Because a man who doesn't need validation is a man who automatically earns it. He doesn't chase worth. He embodies it. And women can sense that strength from a mile away. You're not just mysterious. You're grounded. You don't play games, you play life. And that difference makes you untouchable. She's drawn to your presence because it feels real in a world full of men trying too hard. So stop giving everything away. Speak less, move slower. Be unpredictable in your rhythm, not your integrity. Because when she can't fully read you, she'll start chasing you just to understand you. That's how you become the prize, mate. Not by being cold, but by being calm enough to let her chase your peace. The second way to make a woman chase you is to build a presence so strong that she feels it even when you're not around. That's the kind of energy that makes her curious, makes her respect you, and eventually makes her pursue you. Presence isn't about how loud you are, it's about how centered you are. It's the calm that follows you into a room, the focus in your eyes, the way your silence speaks louder than anyone's noise. A man with presence doesn't need attention to prove his value. He carries it with him. It's in his posture, his tone, his patience. You can tell he's not in a hurry to be liked because he already likes himself. When you master presence, you no longer chase validation, you attract it. People feel it, especially women. They notice when a man's energy is different, when his confidence isn't borrowed from approval, but built from purpose. Purpose is the magnet. A man who wakes up every day driven by something bigger than himself automatically becomes more attractive. His focus shifts from needing someone to becoming someone. And that's what women sense. When she sees that your attention isn't scattered, that your time isn't freely given, she feels your value. Your attention becomes a privilege, not a habit. That's when she starts to respect your space instead of taking it for granted. A man's presence makes a woman feel grounded. She feels safe around him, not because he says the right things, but because he is the right thing. Emotionally balanced, steady, and sure. You can't fake that kind of energy. You can't script it. It comes from how you treat yourself when no one's watching. The discipline, the silence, the purpose behind your actions. When you walk in peace, people notice. When you don't rush to fill silence, they lean in. When you're calm in chaos, you become magnetic. Women chase that energy because it's rare. You see, presence is a mirror. It reflects how you feel about yourself. If you're anxious or insecure, your presence disappears. But when you move through the world with quiet confidence, your energy fills the space. Women are emotional readers. They pick up on subtle energy. They can tell when a man is pretending and when a man is real. The one who's real doesn't have to announce it. His energy says it for him. So stop worrying about the right lines or perfect timing. Focus on your breathing, your posture, your calm. That's where your presence is built. In the moments when you choose control over reaction. Presence also means focus. When you talk to her, look into her eyes. Not to dominate, but to connect. Listen, not just to reply, but to understand. When she feels heard, she feels seen. And when she feels seen, she remembers you. You can make her chase you by simply being present in a world where most men are distracted. You stand out because you're actually there. No phone, no pretense, no rush, just presence. That level of focus makes her curious. She starts to wonder, why does he make me feel calm? Why does his silence feel different? And that curiosity turns into emotional attraction. It's not about being perfect, it's about being centered. When your peace is intact, her emotions adjust to your energy. She softens, opens up, and starts to value your composure. Women aren't drawn to chaos, they're drawn to leadership. And real leadership starts with emotional self-control. You lead by being steady, by being grounded, by being someone who doesn't lose himself in the moment. When she realizes that your world doesn't revolve around her, that you have your own direction, your own rhythm, she'll want to be part of it. That's how presence turns into pursuit. Because in the end, every woman craves one thing: a man whose silence feels powerful, whose calm feels like safety, and whose energy feels too real to ignore. That's the presence that makes her chase, not through fear, but through respect and desire. There's something magnetic about a man who has standards, a man who doesn't bend just to be liked. He's not rude, not arrogant. He's just grounded in what he accepts and what he doesn't. That energy alone changes how women see you. When you draw a line, you send a silent message. I respect myself too much to settle. And that's when everything shifts. Because now you're not playing to win her approval. You're letting her decide if she's qualified for yours. See, most men lose women not because they lack charm, but because they lack backbone. They'll say yes when they should say no. They'll tolerate disrespect just to keep the connection alive. But a man who values himself never does that. He knows that losing a woman is better than losing his self-respect. He understands that attraction without respect is temporary, but attraction built on strength lasts. When you set boundaries, you change the dynamic. You're no longer chasing, you're leading. And leadership to a woman is irresistibly attractive. It's not about controlling her, it's about controlling your environment. You're showing that your time, your peace, and your attention have worth. That instantly separates you from every man who gives himself away too easily. Boundaries make your attention expensive, and anything that's expensive becomes desirable. Women are naturally drawn to value, not arrogance, but value that's felt, not spoken. When you say, I don't tolerate disrespect, you don't need to raise your voice. Your calmness is the message. Your consistency is the proof. Most men talk about self-respect. Few actually practice it. Practicing it means walking away from what doesn't align with your worth. And when you do that, you become unforgettable. Because women remember the man who wasn't afraid to walk away. They remember the man who didn't beg for attention. They remember the one who respected himself more than he wanted validation. When a woman realizes she can't push your boundaries, she starts to see you differently. She starts to treat you differently. Suddenly, she's the one careful not to lose you. That's when the chase begins. Not because you manipulated her, but because you made her feel your value. You created contrast, something rare in today's world of endless neediness. Boundaries also protect your energy. You stop wasting time trying to convince anyone of your worth. Instead, your actions say it all. And that kind of confidence, it's loud without being noisy. Women admire men who can say no, because that no comes from strength. It means you're not afraid of loss, and that's what makes you dangerous in the best way possible. The truth is, a man without boundaries is a man without direction. He drifts. But a man with boundaries has gravity. He pulls everything around him into alignment, including respect, attention, and desire. When she senses that gravity, she starts to orbit around it. She wants to understand it, feel it, be part of it. That's how a man with self-respect makes a woman chase without ever running after her. Because respect is the real currency of attraction. Once she respects you, she can't unsee your value. She starts to adjust her behavior to fit your standard, not the other way around. And here's the twist. The higher your standard, the deeper her attraction. Not because you're playing games, but because your boundaries show her that your love has meaning, that your attention must be earned. In a world full of men who give themselves away for free, be the man who charges through his presence, through his discipline, through his peace. That's the kind of man she'll chase, not out of curiosity, but out of genuine admiration. There's a level of attraction that no muscles, money, or fancy words can create. It's the attraction born from emotional mastery. The moment a woman realizes you don't break easily, she starts to look at you differently. See, most men think women are drawn to looks or charm, but what truly captures a woman is a man she can't emotionally shake. When you don't overreact, when you stay calm under pressure, you become mysterious because she can't control your emotions. Women test emotional strength, often without realizing it. They'll tease, ignore, or pull away. Not always to hurt you, but to see if you're real, to see if your confidence was built on sand or stone. Most men fail the test. They panic, chase, or get angry. But the man who stays centered, who doesn't flinch when things get uncertain, that man stands out. Because he's rare. Emotional control isn't about acting cold. It's about being composed. It's the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to prove myself to you. It's power without noise. When she pulls away and you don't chase, she feels it. When she says something meant to trigger you and you stay calm, she respects it. When she expects drama and gets silence, she starts thinking about you even more. Because silence speaks louder than arguments. And emotional control is the language of strength. You become unpredictable. Not because you're playing games, but because your peace can't be manipulated. That's when you stop being just another guy. You become the man she wonders about when she's alone. Every woman has met men who lose their cool, but when she meets one who doesn't, who knows how to breathe, pause, and respond instead of react, she starts to feel safe around him. And that safety is addictive. Emotional control gives you presence. It makes every word carry more weight, every move seem intentional. She can sense that your emotions don't control you. You control them. That's what separates leaders from followers, kings from clowns. Because a man who can't master himself can't lead anyone. And here's the truth. When you stay calm, she starts to question her power over you. She begins to chase the validation she used to get so easily. That's not manipulation. It's energy balancing itself. When you respond with peace instead of panic, you flip the script. She becomes the one wondering, did I lose his interest? Why isn't he reacting? That curiosity turns into attention. You don't need to lecture or argue. You let your composure do the talking. That silence becomes your weapon, your magnet, your shield. Women fall for men who make them feel something. But what really hooks them is a man who makes them feel calm, grounded, and emotionally safe, even when things get messy. When she realizes she can't make you lose your center, she'll respect you on a deeper level. That's when attraction transforms into admiration. Your calmness becomes her comfort. Your restraint becomes her obsession. Because in a world full of chaos, a man who doesn't flinch becomes her peace. Remember this: a man's power isn't in how loud he gets when he's angry, it's in how quiet he stays when he's tested. That's the kind of energy that makes her chase you in silence because she knows she can't find it anywhere else. So stay grounded, stay composed. Let your peace be your message. Because the man who can't be emotionally shaken is the one every woman secretly wants. And can't forget, a man who learns the power of detachment becomes dangerous. Not because he doesn't care, but because he finally understands that attachment kills attraction. The moment you stop needing her, you start attracting her. Detachment isn't about ignoring women. It's about not orbiting around them. It's when your world becomes so full of purpose, passion, and peace that no one person can define your happiness. When you're detached, you stop begging for attention. You stop trying to prove your worth. You move like a man who already knows he's valuable, with or without her. That energy drives women insane in the best way possible because they can feel it. They can sense when your validation doesn't depend on them anymore. That's when curiosity turns into pursuit. You become the man she can't fully figure out, the one who seems to enjoy life too much to be obsessed with her. And that mystery? It's addictive. Every woman wants to feel chosen, but not owed. When you detach, you remind her that your choice has weight, that your presence is earned, not assumed. She starts wondering, why isn't he texting first? Why does he seem happier without me? That's not manipulation, that's balance. That's the universe rewarding a man who knows his value. The man who's detached isn't cold, he's focused. He gives his attention like a gift, not a habit. When he shows up, he's fully present. When he's gone, he's gone. That unpredictability keeps her on edge, craving more. Because in a world full of men who can't go a day without reassurance, the detached man stands out as rare, free, calm, and emotionally unshakable. Detachment means she no longer controls your mood. You no longer spiral when she's distant. You stop checking her stories, stop decoding every word, stop wondering what she's thinking. You're too busy building. And when you build, everything shifts. Your silence becomes louder than her games. Your absence becomes heavier than her attention. That's when she starts chasing. Not because you're playing tricks, but because you've become the kind of man who doesn't need her energy to thrive. Detachment also brings clarity. You start to see what's real and what's not. You stop mistaking attention for affection. You stop confusing drama with love. You start choosing peace over chaos. And ironically, that peace is what pulls her back in. Because women don't chase chaos, they chase certainty. The man who's detached gives her that certainty because he's not emotionally lost in her. He knows where he's going. He knows who he is. He knows that any woman in his life should add to his peace, not become his purpose. That's when his energy becomes irresistible. She feels your distance. She feels your calm. She feels that you're no longer trying to impress her. You're simply living. That realization flips everything. Now, she's the one overthinking. She's the one checking her phone. She's the one replaying every conversation. And you're simply existing, peacefully, powerfully, detached. That's when the game ends. Because the man who doesn't chase wins by default. Not because he's smarter, but because he's free. And nothing attracts like freedom. So be the man who's content in solitude. The man who doesn't crave control. The man who can walk away smiling. That's detachment. That's power. That's what makes her chase you, and because you've become the man she can't control but can't forget. There's something magnetic about a man who wakes up every day chasing something bigger than love. His eyes tell a story. His energy has weight. He doesn't move for approval. He moves with direction, and that direction makes him impossible to ignore. See, when a man is driven by purpose, everything about him changes. The way he talks, walks, thinks, it all carries intention. He's not floating through life waiting for attention. He's building something, and women can feel that vibration. Women respect men who are on a mission. They may not say it out loud, but deep down they crave that kind of energy. The man who's too focused on his goals to be consumed by emotion. Because when you're building, you don't have time to beg for love. You're not sitting around hoping someone validates you. You're too busy creating, improving, evolving. And that silent obsession makes her curious. You stop being predictable. She never knows where you are, not because you're playing games, but because you're genuinely busy conquering something real. That's when your time becomes valuable. That's when she stops taking you for granted. Because a man who's chasing purpose doesn't chase people, he attracts them. Purpose gives you power. It fills you with energy that doesn't depend on attention. It gives your life structure, and women crave structure. They admire men who stand for something, who move with certainty while the world hesitates. When you start living with purpose, everything changes. Your eyes sharpen, your tone deepens, your silence becomes more meaningful. You carry yourself like a man who's seen things. Because you're on a path few can understand. That kind of energy doesn't need to flirt to attract. It simply is. She starts thinking about you not because you're chasing her, but because your energy reminds her of what real masculinity feels like. Grounded, directional, unapologetic. The truth is, women don't fall for men who orbit around them. They fall for men who make them want to orbit with them. And purpose is the gravity that makes that happen. Every great man who ever made women chase him had one thing in common. He was too focused on building his legacy to care about temporary validation. When she sees that, she starts to respect your time. She tries harder. She dresses better. She pays attention. Because suddenly she realizes your attention is rare, and rare things are valuable. Purpose also protects your heart. It gives you an anchor when emotions try to pull you off course. You don't lose yourself in the storm because you're already sailing towards something bigger. That's what makes her chase. Not because you ignore her, but because your mission gives her something to admire, something to join. When a woman realizes she can't distract you from your goals, she'll want to become part of them. That's when she starts chasing, not to control you, but to connect with you. So stop chasing love. Chase your purpose. Because the moment your focus shifts from her to your mission, her focus shifts to you. Each unpredictable move reminds her that she doesn't own your energy, that she can't predict your rhythm, and that unpredictability makes you addictive. Because every woman wants a man she can understand, but not fully. She wants a challenge, a puzzle that keeps her curious, excited, a little uncertain. That's the thrill that makes attraction last. Mystery isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about being so genuine, so self-assured, that you don't feel the need to explain yourself. You let people experience you, not study you. The mysterious man doesn't announce his every plan. He doesn't explain his every silence. He moves quietly with intention, leaving traces of curiosity wherever he goes. That's why his presence lingers. He becomes the what if in her mind. The unfinished story. The question she can't quite answer. And that tension keeps her emotionally engaged. Mystery also means unpredictability. Not being chaotic, but being alive. Doing things she doesn't expect. Showing up with calm when others would argue. Disappearing to focus on yourself when she assumes you'll stay available. Women are emotional explorers. They love to uncover, to decode, to understand. If you give her every answer too soon, there's nothing left to discover. But if you stay just out of reach, you live rent-free in her mind. Mystery makes her chase clarity, and clarity about you becomes her obsession. She starts reading into your silences, analyzing your messages, replaying your tone. You've created emotional tension without saying a word. That's not manipulation. That's presence with restraint. You're not withholding to play games. You're withholding because you value depth over attention. And that's where your power lies. In silence, in unpredictability, in the ability to make her feel something without effort. When you live like that, you become unforgettable. Because she can't categorize you. You don't fit her past patterns. You make her feel safe and confused at the same time. And that paradox is what keeps her chasing. So stop trying to be an open book. Be a story she wants to keep reading. Be the calm in her storm and the mystery in her mind. Speak less, move wisely, and let your unpredictability become your allure. Because once a woman starts wondering who you are really wondering, that's when she's already chasing.